All right, so through all of this, I've been sticking up for, well, everybody. Everybody. Do you know why that is? Do you know why it is that I stick up for black people? Do you know why it is that I stick up for white people? Do you know why it is that I stick up for native people? Do you know why it is that I stick up for gay people? Do you know why it is that I stick up for straight people? It's because we're all people. It's not a rocket science. A lot of people promised they were going to come forward and tell the truth. Promised, promised, and promised, and promised. And they didn't keep their word. Many of them were helping out my predators the whole way along, and some of them started helping my predators because they didn't like the fact that I showed the truth. Go back with the conversations between Miss Peaches and I. Yeah, she admits to being a drug dealer. Now, why is it that I recorded that, posted it up all over YouTube? Because Miss Peaches didn't keep her word. She wasted my time. She wasted my resources. And she helped to destroy the only chance that I had. Most of my friends did more harm than good. They did more to waste my time and waste my resources than it was worth. Meanwhile, the things that the Bollingers were doing and continue to do are completely against the law, but it doesn't matter if the cops are breaking the law too. You really think Dual County Sheriff's Department is going to investigate any of the goddamn crimes against me? Fuck no. They're fucking some of the son of a bitches that were pulling these goddamn crimes. And then I got officers telling me, oh, well, I wasn't here for that. I don't give a fuck if you were here for that, you fucking pig. You take my goddamn report or you go the fuck away and mind your goddamn business. If you're going to protect bad cops, you're a bad cop. Now, through all of this, I've been the one getting the victimization, despite the fact that I'm not the one who's the predator. Now, who are the predators? Law enforcement, for starters. Now, Chelsea Worsing, she's autistic. Now, her excuse for not telling the truth is that it's hard for her to make friends because she's autistic. Well, let's take a look at who it is that she wants to be friends with. Katie Whiteman. Is Katie Whiteman a white man? No, she's a black woman. And she's a piece of shit at that. Is she a piece of shit because of the color of her skin? No. Is she a piece of shit because she's a woman? No. She's a piece of shit because she chose to harm an innocent man. Now, how fucked up is that? See, that's the difference between myself and the Bollinger family. The difference between myself and Natalie Bollinger was that I told the truth about Natalie and she had to slander me. I'm a better person than Natalie will ever be or ever was. Let's take a look at Natalie and her family. According to Natalie Bollinger, who were her predators? That's right, it was her family. Her Uncle Troy, her dad, his name is Ted Bollinger, by the way. Her ex-boyfriends, lots of people. Was I one of them? Fuck no. I was good to Natalie and I was good to Alicia. If they were decent people, they would admit that. If they were decent people, they would have fought for an honest day in court. My rights were abused all across the board. Now, I've told you that without someone speaking up for me or fighting for my rights, it makes no difference. Black people in houses have more rights than I do. Right now, I'm sick and tired of this racist rhetoric bullshit out of BLM. See, they want the numbers, but they don't want the people. See, you want the numbers that say that 21% of those incarcerated in the United States are black. But you want to ignore the part where 9 out of 10 of those black people are homeless. Homeless. But that don't fit your racist rhetoric, does it? You know, I had my rights violated all growing up. And I understood all growing up, because I grew up in the 80s, that as a white male in the 1980s, I had less rights than everyone. ACLU doesn't give a fuck about white people. Are you fucking kidding me? Not even if they're disabled. Now, what's this rhetoric that I keep hearing from BLM? When I try to speak out about how most of these black people who are incarcerated were homeless before they were incarcerated, and the homeless account for 81% nationwide. Lucas Michael typed, "Hey, sorry for not joining streams. How are you? I'm shitty. I woke up this morning and I wasn't dead again. I still don't have the help I need in person." See, that's the thing, is that it doesn't matter how decent of a person you are. It doesn't matter how right you are. What matters is popularity. Right now, it's popular. Popular. Oh, you're not cool unless you're with BLM. You're not cool unless you jump on their rhetoric. No, if you're going to spout racist bullshit at me, I'm going to fucking spout it right back. And I'm going to do it to you in the same fashion, except I'm not going to drop those words. I grew up Christian. And one thing I learned about Christians is that there is no such thing as the Ten Commandments. That's how 99% of Christians work. The Ten Commandments do not exist because I'm going to repent before I die and it'll make it all okay. No, Natalie's probably roasting in hell right now, if there is such a place. Her sister, at any point in time, could have gotten off the goddamn drugs and told the truth. Now, you notice that the situation with Rihanna in Rawlins, Wyoming, the police did everything they could, and the courts did everything they could to try to prevent me from speaking with, well, at that point, my accusers. Not only that, but that person who is my accuser wants me in Wyoming also admitted that I didn't break the machine that I was supposed to pay for, and that it was because she was drunk. Shannon Alvarado, again, another alcoholic. See, this is why when you're called mentally ill, you're fucked. I mean, seriously, what options do I have? Of the top 5 most victimized people in America, I fit 4 of those groups. And the only one that I don't fit into is because I'm not a foster child any longer. I keep getting to hear about how black people are the most marginalized people in America. You know what? Black folks don't give a shit about black homeless people. As a whole, see, now, this is something that I've been reading quite a bit. White people as a whole, as a whole, as a whole. White people as a whole are like this. White people as a whole. Bitch, Most of the white people in America don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about each other. They don't give a holy fucking goddamn if you're black. They care about their fucking property value. But I get told that it's my fault. Although I have been victimized my entire life, I get told that it's my fault because of the color of my skin. That I am the reason that police are beating on black people. Excuse me. How about I blame black people for the fact that the police are doing this at a 346-to-1 ratio against the homeless, whereas it's only a 5-to-1 ratio for black folks. Yes, you're marginalized. You fucking snowflakes. You don't like that? You don't like equality? Hold on a fucking second here. Stop bitching about equality if you don't want equality. Don't tell me about how you want equality if it's not equality for us, because that's not equality. If it's just equality for you, it's not equality. It is special fucking rights. Now, on paper, I have special rights. On paper, it's a felony for these police officers or any of these other people who victimized me to do so. But without family who gives a fuck, someone who is willing to actually fight for my rights, I don't have any. Meanwhile, I got to deal with, well, situations like with Mandy Hughes, who was full of shit. Kara Johnson Miles, who was full of shit. Danica Garner, who was full of shit. Rochelle Shelley Campbell, who was full of shit. If these were decent people, they wouldn't have fucked with my head for 7 goddamn months after Natalie was killed. But then again, I already knew these weren't decent people. I should have believed Natalie when she told me. And I wholeheartedly do. I support Natalie Bollinger having someone put a bullet through her head. Why? Well, let's go through the list. The number one most victimized people in America are foster children. Natalie and I were both foster children. Number 2 on the list is former foster children. Natalie and I were both former foster children. Number 3 is the homeless. Natalie was never homeless. So that doesn't apply to her, but it does apply to me. Let's go to number 4, the mentally disabled. Was Natalie Bollinger mentally disabled? Yes, she was. How would you have helped Natalie? I know that the way that I help people actually helps, because they say, hey, Sean, this is the help I need. And I show up and I help how they ask. How many people helped how I asked? How many people bothered to make a fucking report? How many people actually helped me in person with this stuff? None. Not a single one. Not one. See, it doesn't matter that all of the hoops that I jumped through for Miss Peaches, it doesn't matter that I did that, because the police wrote down that I wasn't trying. Now, Miss Peaches could come forward at any point in time and speak out about that. As a matter of fact, right here on this YouTube video or on this YouTube channel, she does. But she's trying to say it in private. With all due respect, Miss Peaches, yeah, don't fucking hide like a coward. I will pursue you to the ends of the fucking earth, Miss Peaches. My intent and purpose right now is to see to it that you don't get to do that to other human beings. You lied to me, Miss Peaches. And although you didn't steal from me the way that Ken and Leah did, and the way that Tabby and Graham did, the fact is you still stole from me. You stole my time. With all these people, I go over there, they're too busy smoking pot or getting drunk. I need sober help. And I try explaining that to every one of them. I need sober help. I need someone who is sober. They say the truth will set you free. Oh, I'm still waiting on these people to come forward and tell the truth. The truth will not set you free. It'll get you killed. If you tell the truth, people are going to hate you. So before you decide whether or not you want to be an honest person, you decide whether or not you want to live like me. I want my life to end every single day because I can't see my loved ones. This town is fucking hell. You know why I like Boulder so much? Well, I'll tell you. It's not so much just because of Boulder. It's more because of the other places I've lived. Let's give Chapel example, or Chapel here. We'll use it as an example. Laura Nelson, she opened up a store here. I go into her store to buy stuff. And for years, I just listened to her complain about everybody else in fucking town. I go over to Brenda Dickinson's. Same thing. Just got to listen to her bitching about everybody else in fucking town. Most of the stuff that Brenda Dickinson told me is, first of all, against the law. When it comes to other people's treatment, it doesn't matter if you work for Sandhills Crisis Intervention Program or not. It's still illegal. Now, for me, legality didn't matter. Without someone on my side who actually gave a shit, yeah. But who gave a shit? Who actually gave a shit? I had people from all over the country saying, come here, come here, come here, come here. They're not paying any attention to the fact that I need help. The help that I need isn't to continually move around from place to place to place to place to place. So people keep telling me my older brother loves me. He's not going to call me because he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't need to fucking say shit. He's a fucking cunt rag. What he needs to do is shut the fuck up and listen. That's what makes me a better human being than all of you. It's not my intelligence because I am smarter than all of you. There might be one or two people who happen to hit up my channel that are smarter than me, but it's not very likely. But it's not my intelligence that makes me a better person. It's the fact that I stick up for people, even if I'm not a part of their group, because they're still people. Oh, Sean, we don't want your help. You're not black. You're not a woman. Well, ain't that quaint? You want to ignore everybody else's problems. But then when it happens to you, it's the end of the fucking world. Yeah, I didn't wait for it to happen to me to speak out. When it happened to my neighbors, I spoke out. When it happened to the people across the street, I spoke out. Did it matter what color their skin was? But no, not ever. Now, why is it that I say white and black so much recently? Because that's what we got shoved in our face. With Brett Roloff, him getting all strung out on fucking meth and his girlfriend fighting every day. Shannon Alvarado getting drunk off her ass and fucking screaming at her boyfriend every single night for hours and hours and hours and hours. Oh my God. Meanwhile, are black people being targeted for the color of their skin? In some cases. But as I've seen recently, there are many, many, many more hate crimes against white people by black people than the other way around. Of course, I've seen this my entire life. Now, why is it that I stick up for black folks, despite the fact that I've had to endure this my entire life? Because those rights are my rights too. If BLM is not willing to fight for my rights, then they are racist. Their rhetoric is bullshit. See, we got this one meme that was posted up about Bob, and Bob is supposed to represent black people. And Bob doesn't have any food. So Bob says, Bob deserves to eat. And everybody else at the table says, everybody deserves to eat, and keeps on eating. Now, what's wrong with that? First of all, Bob just assumed that everybody else is eating. Bob just assumed that he's the only one not getting a plate. Meanwhile, if we look at it statistically, he did get a plate. Statistically, there's going to be homeless people at that table without a plate, without silverware, without a glass, without anything in it. That's homeless. Now, sure, by comparison, black folks to Donald Trump, sure, they don't have a plate. I can get that. I can understand that. Of course, let's put a real comparison out there. Let's say that black folks do get a plate. Compared to the homeless who don't get one, what would black folks have on their plate? Oh, they would have about 40 times on their plate what it is that we have, which is nothing. So what's 40 times nothing? It's nothing. Well, hold on a second. That can't be right now, can it? Of course it's not. Black folks are eating. Pretending that you're not eating because of the color of your skin. If you choose not to eat because of the color of your skin, well, that's your own damn fault. I'm not going to stop you from eating. If somebody decides that they're going to harm you for trying to eat your meal, I will get between them and you and allow you to finish your goddamn meal. Now, by comparison, let's take a look at this. We got black folks who are marginalized. Let's use that word because that seems to be the popular one with BLM right now. The most marginalized people in America are not black. Some of them may happen to be black, just as some of them happen to be white. Some of them happen to be Native American. Some of them happen to be immigrants from all over the place. What they all have in common is poverty. Poverty. That's why police choose the homeless first. Most of the folks I know in houses bitch, whine, moan, and fucking complain about crimes they fucking committed. They're pissed off at the cops because they got busted. I'm not pissed off at the cops because I got busted. I'm pissed off at the cops because I had to repeatedly break the law to try to force them to do their job. To this day, they have not. Am I black? No, I'm not. But if I was, I'd have been hurt now, wouldn't I? Oh, no. No, I wouldn't have. See, here's the thing. Most of the black folks getting incarcerated and all hemmed up like that, BLM doesn't give a fuck about. BLM wants their numbers. Oh, well, these are black people. So we want that 21%. We want to be able to say 21% of black people's, or 21% of the prison populations are black. And black people only account for 12 to 13% of the population. Well, homeless people account for less than 1%. Less than 1%. Not 12%, not 13%. 0.2%. And that's rounding up. While 13% of the United States population accounts for 21% of the inmate population. 0.2% of the population accounts for 81%. Now, how can that possibly be? If we take 81%, which is the homeless people, and we add that to 21%, which is black people, we come up with 102%. Why is that? Now, I want you to pay attention to the fact that there is always room for the homeless. There are people in houses, and most of the time, if you live in a house, you do have to commit a crime in order to be hauled off. You do have to commit a crime. If you're homeless, you don't. Ever. You don't ever have to break the law if you're homeless. You're still going to get victimized. And the things that I keep hearing from white people about how black people deserve it because of blah, 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 fucking blah. God, fucking seriously? You want to spout that ignorant bullshit at me? And then I stick up for black people. I still stand up to these white people in this town because black people are humans too. But then I get treated like it's my fault because of the color of my skin. Like it's my fault that there's police brutality, despite the fact that I have been speaking up and standing up for decades. How is it that we get 102% between just those two groups. Well, because you can be black and homeless at the same time. This is not fucking rocket science. You can be black and a former foster child at the same time. You can be black and mentally disabled at the same time. You can be black and physically disabled at the same time. But chances are pretty good that you were not targeted for the color of your skin. You were targeted because your guilt was assumed. You were targeted because you were easy to railroad because of the term mentally ill. You were easy to railroad because you didn't have the money for a civil lawyer. I don't tolerate this shit out of white folks. I'm not going to tolerate it out of you either. I don't care what fucking color you are. You want to be fucking racist at me, I'll be racist right back. You want to tell me that white people are to blame for all of your problems? That white people have all of this privilege? Oh no. Oh no. Black people, women, these are the two groups with the most rights on paper. Black people and women. Does that surprise you? Meanwhile, women control more of the United States than men do. Playing victim does not change that fact. When you tell your husband that you're not going to have sex with him unless he votes for who you want him to, your husband's an idiot for staying with you. Now, I understand that there's a lot of men who are completely infatuated with sex. Most people are infatuated with sex. We have that genitalia for a reason. It's for reproduction. However, stupid people are breeding. The dumber they are, the more kids they have. That doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. We used to have a family here in town called the Gabeharts. There was a fucking bunch of them. And holy shit, these fucking white people were out there. They were fucking clueless. And Brianna Gabehart, my friend Bo Prince, had a big old crush on her. She was so pretty, so pretty. That's what it's about, isn't it? It is about pretty. It's also about money, popularity. I'm not going to pretend that race does not come into account at all. But I am going to say outright that 95% of the harassment that those people are taking, by those people, I'm talking about the 21% of the inmate population. 21%. How many of those people are in there because they're guilty? Does it matter? If you lock up 30 innocent people to lock up one guilty one, did you really do anything better for society. We got a guy who robs a bank, right? Doesn't get very far. So they lock him up for robbing a bank. And then they rob you to pay for it. I'm sick of this racist bullshit. My entire life, I've been told that I gotta fight for these people's rights. I gotta fight for these people's rights. That fighting for their rights is fighting for my own. And you know what? It's not. Fighting for a bunch of racist cunts is not fighting for my rights. That's why I stand up to BLM. That's why I stand up to the KKK. That's why I stand up to the police. And I'll stand up to your hate group too. You know, the Arheridian Sisterhood is a bunch of racist assholes too. Come get me. Come and get me. Come and get me. What y'all ain't understanding is that I'm about this close to going on a hunting trip. I got over 400 names on my list. Only half of them are child molesters. The others are worse. You don't understand that? What's worse than a child molester? The people who allow them to continue. You know what's worse than a child molester? The judge who lets them walk out of the courtroom to do it again. You know who's worse than a child molester? The people who tell you to just shut up and it'll eventually go away. No, he's going to get to go victimize more people, just like the police. About 5% of that 21% of inmates who are black were targeted for the color of their skin. 95% were targeted due to poverty. I know y'all want to pretend that every single police officer in America hates black people. But I want you to realize that there are police officers who are black as well. And there are white people being murdered as well. You have rights because you live in a house. That 21% doesn't belong to you. That belongs to us. That 21% of black inmates does not belong to BLM. That belongs to the homeless. Those are our numbers. Those are our people. And the 5% who are targeted for the color of their skin, you can have them. We'll even round you up to a full 2% of that 20. Sorry, 21. That leaves us with 19% of those black people who are incarcerated. You can be a part of more than one category. The 5 most marginalized groups in America I belong to. The one that I don't belong to now is simply because I aged out. BLM is a racist hate group trying to sell a racist narrative, just like the KKK. And you see these two idiot groups battling it out on Facebook, battling it out on the fucking streets, battling it out everywhere, and blaming who? The victims. The reason that black folks, because most of the black people who have made comments about this situation on any of the posts that I've made or any of the things that I've commented on, make the same exact excuses why it's okay to do these things to homeless. The KKK makes all these excuses why it's okay to do these things to black people. And then we got black people using literally those very same recycled KKK excuses as justification for cruelty towards the actual most marginalized people in America. All that shit the KKK says about how black people are all lazy, they're all thieves, they're all druggies, they won't get a job, they're lazy. Yeah, when the KKK says that stuff about black folks, well, I grew up with black folks. I know lots of black folks who work harder than anybody I know in the KKK. You goddamn right I'm going to stick up for them. You goddamn right I will stand up to the KKK for black people who aren't even here. That means I'm standing alone. That means that it is me and these fucking racists, and that's it. There ain't no black people behind me. There ain't no BLM standing behind me going, hey, if they jump, we'll get froggy. Oh no. This is me. Me sticking up for your rights as a black person, sticking up for your rights as a Native American, sticking up for your rights as a woman, and your rights as a child. Why? Because these are human rights that we are lacking, not special rights. We have plenty of special rights already. They're not observed. We need to have video and audio recording devices in every hospital in America. Anywhere that people are at risk of being victimized, especially using taxpayer dollars to victimize them, I'd say it's worth a tiny chunk of that change for peace of mind. Breonna's Law, I support that. That's a solution. That's the no-knock raid law in St. Louis. I'd like you guys to actually read it because it doesn't just include the no-knock raids. It also refers to police conduct with their body cameras. It's a good thing. I will not support BLM. I am not going to support a racist hate group. If you want to claim BLM, I will call you a racist, just like I will call anybody who claims KKK a racist. And anybody who claims the Nazi Party, I will call a racist. Just because I disagree with these racist hate groups doesn't mean that I'm against you in specific. Matter of fact, if one of them racist assholes spouting all of that racist bullshit about white people on them BLM sites, if one of them come to town and was being victimized in front of me, it wouldn't last long. I would step in between that person and their predators. There's a lot of people who've told me they're going to come up and shoot me and so on and so forth. And a few people in this town have said, well, if somebody comes up here to shoot you, we'll shoot them. Well, I don't want anybody getting shot. If we got a bunch of white people and a bunch of black people pointing guns in Chapel, Nebraska, I'm going to get in between them. Fact is, I didn't just talk out my ass. I saved the evidence and I showed the truth. And the only times I lied were to try to force the court date because telling the truth wasn't getting it done. Of course, it doesn't matter what you do. When they call you mentally ill, you have no rights. How many of y'all black folks who just recently got out of prison after a 15-year stint, how many of you were homeless before you went in? How many of you had your rights railroaded because they called you mentally ill? If there are 10,000 people who were killed, let's say there's a mass murderer out there who's able to kill more people than anybody else ever in history. Because mind you, Adolf Hitler didn't actually kill any of those people. He told other people to do it for him. But let's pretend we got this solo artist who kills 1,000 people. Now let's say 10 of them are black. Is he targeting black people? Yes, but he's not specifically targeting them because they're black. They just happen to be black. Like with Zaid Atkinson getting paid $140,000 because the cops made a mistake. All y'all's argument about that is because it's his house. Property. Property. That's right. You're on his side because he had a roof over his goddamn head. If you ain't racist, prove it. Drop off BLM like a bad fucking habit and fight for human rights. That includes your own. Stop blaming the other victims. Every time that you say men, 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 I'm going to type women, 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 women. You know why? Because it's fucking equal. Now, there's some stuff that I'm just not going to be equal with. Like, I'm not going to go use the N-word, despite the fact that I get called all sorts of fucking racist bullshit. I'm not going to use that word. It is below me. Below me. If you're going to use that word, I don't care what fucking color you are. I don't care if it has a hard R or an A at the end. It's racist. Now, if you, as a black person, think that it's okay to go spouting racist words, and then when somebody else who happens to not be black uses that word in the same context that you're using it and in the same tone that you're using it, and you're gonna assault the fuck out of him for using it because he's a racist for using it. No, you're the racist. If it's okay for you but not for me, it's racist. If it's okay for me and not for you, it's racist. I don't give a fuck about race. I give a fuck about equality. Them 19% belong to us. They ain't your numbers. When push comes to shove, you black folks in houses are more likely to victimize these people out on the streets than to actually do something to help them. You want their numbers. You want to say, oh, well, you know, these people are black. So obviously that 21% is them being racist against black people. No. Not even close. That's not to say the racism doesn't exist. I'm saying that the racism is such a small, minuscule part of it that anyone trying to piggyback on the race card is fucking racist. Anyone who wants to piggyback on the race card is avoiding the actual issues. How is a hate crime acceptable for a black person but not a white person? I say it's wrong for both. I say if you victimize a disabled person, it doesn't matter what skin color you have. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a badge or not. It doesn't matter if you have breasts or a penis or both. It doesn't. I hate this planet and I want someone to put a hole in my head. Merry goddamn Christmas. By the way, if you want me to shut up, you're going to have to kill me.